Hi guys. Um oh so right now I'm getting ready to do my live video. We're going to be talking about the amendment, specifically the Second Amendment, which is what has been grossly violated by 1639, and the First Amendment, which we will be using to protest, overturn, and eventually repeal this entire disgusting violation of our constitutional right to bear arms. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Raydonna. I'm a mom. I have 5 children. I have a husband who I love very much, and my children's ages span from 18 all the way to just a couple months under 2 years. So basically what we have is 1639 is a bill that passed extreme background checks up to and including allowing the government access into our health records and our mental health records without signing a release of information. This is problematic for multiple reasons. The text in one of the new sections of the gun control laws, see, there's been gun control laws for years, but what they've done here is they've added a whole bunch of things to it that shouldn't have been added. So basically what the text about regarding the government's access to our medical records, it states that signing and entering an application to own a firearm constitutes a waiver of our right to privacy. Basically, in layman's terms, it equals a release of information. And this release of information is also stated in this section of the law. I don't have the law right in front of me, so I can't reference it. I was going to try to do that, but I couldn't figure out how to do that, so I apologize for that. But it further goes on to state that that waiver of our right to privacy is indefinite, and the law orders the government to develop a system within the next year for going in and being able to check yearly, bi-yearly, or even monthly. The language is extremely vague. It does not specify the time frame that they can make these checks into your mental and physical health records. What that leaves us open to is someone who is found eligible. There's another word that's in there, is eligible. If someone is found to be eligible to purchase a firearm, then under this new law, the government can go back as many times as they like. Once they have all of your information, they will be storing all of that information, all of your contact info, your address, your everything that they get on that application for that gun. They will be storing it, and then they will be going back and reviewing it however often they want to. There's no limit to it. It's however often they would like. And he went outside. Sorry, my little boy. However often they like, they can go in and check your mental health records. So, say, just as an example, say a mother, a pregnant mother is perfectly fine. She's never had any history of mental illness at all whatsoever. She's a gun owner. Now, this is where it gets kind of tricky. This is where they got tricky with it. She's a gun owner. She's been found eligible. She gives birth to that baby, and falls prey to a condition that's extremely common known as postpartum depression, also called baby blues. The extreme version of it is postpartum psychosis. It's a condition that is not a mental health condition, but is actually caused by the extreme hormone imbalance that comes after giving birth. So if she goes in and seeks help or medication to help her stabilize during that postpartum period, she's now labeled as a potential dangerous gun owner. And the further provisions in that section of the law is that the sheriff is to be notified and it states very clearly, if the legislature or the authorities that perform these checks regularly discover that someone is and it does state very, very specifically, for any reason determined ineligible to own a firearm, then their gun rights, the sheriff is to go and contact them and inform them that they are not allowed to have a gun anymore, and their guns are to be taken from them at their home. If you are pulled over, this means that the police now have access to all of our records. If someone is pulled over and they have a concealed carry permit and they have a firearm in their glove box, all right, these are all possible scenarios. I'm not an alarmist. I'm not saying this is all what's going to happen. But because of the vagueness of the law, the wording of the law, if that police officer pulls you over, discovers that you're supposed to disclose, I have a weapon in my glove box, that police can then go and run your name. And if you have any mental health issues, it can be anything from ADHD to mild autism to a history of depression. If you've ever been hospitalized for a suicide attempt, ever in your life, ever, even as a teenager, then that police officer that has now pulled you over can confiscate your firearm and put you on notice that you're no longer allowed and revoke your concealed carry license right there on the spot. And the law doesn't specifically state that they can do that, but because of the vagueness of the wording, they can. I don't know very many police officers that will enforce that. However, they are obligated to enforce the laws of Washington State. So that's the first issue, is it's a violation of privacy. It's a violation of privacy. They're going to come and they're going to take someone's guns. They're going to come and take away someone's home defense weapon because 3 years ago the person had a bout with depression, or 10 years ago they had a baby and needed medication for postpartum psychosis. That's not right. Okay? So that's one issue with 1639. Another issue with 1639 is where it talks about the criminal penalties for improper gun storage. And it goes into some detail about this. It does state exactly when somebody can be arrested and prosecuted for improper gun storage. If your firearm is used in a crime. If your firearm is used in a crime, and it does not say if it is found that it was improperly stored, but if your firearm is stolen during an in-house robbery, basically, you can be prosecuted. If it's used after it's stolen, if it's used in a violent crime such as murder or armed robbery, you can be prosecuted for a Class C felony. And then you have now become a felon just because someone broke into your house, stole your gun, or say you have a small handgun and it's locked in a small safe. They steal the safe and they take it and they break it open. They now have your weapon. All right? And because of a situation like that, you now become a felon and completely lose your gun rights. 100% completely. So that's another issue. Another issue is with I'm sure most of you that are watching, hi guys, most of you that are watching already know a lot about this law. And, you know, but some of you don't, and maybe a lot of you don't know the actual implications of the law. You know the wording, but you might not fully understand these implications. So someone has now stolen your gun and used it to go shoot someone else down the street, or in an armed robbery or a carjacking. You, because the gun was registered to you, that is how they will track you down. You now get arrested in your home and prosecuted for a Class C felony crime. All right. The next issue with this law is what it does to vulnerable people, vulnerable citizens. Okay? I'm a mother, I mentioned before. I have 5 children. Now, what happens if my gun is locked in a safe? Someone breaks into my home in the middle of the night. I'm scared. Yeah, I can call 911. But you know what? In the moments that it takes me to call 911 and hearing my voice over the phone, that means that burglar can hear me too. He's going to come and try to find me and stop me from calling. What if he has a gun, right? So I hear someone break into my house. I'm here by myself because say my husband leaves to go to work. He's a seasonal worker. So say he's gone in the middle of the night, or he's gone out of town for work. My only choice of defense is my Louisville Slugger baseball bat. I'd rather not bludgeon somebody. Or I can reach for my gun that's in my nightstand. I don't have a gun in my nightstand, but if it was there, I could. But instead, now under the new law, we have to keep our guns locked in a safe with a key or with a trigger lock on. And I don't know about all you mommies out there, but myself, in the middle of the night, when I get woken up and startled, I'm not exactly completely coherent. So then I got to fumble for my gun safe key. Hopefully I remember exactly where I put it and I kept it really close. Then I got to find my way, try to remember now while I'm groggy, I got to try to remember, you know, is it this key or is it this key? Maybe keep it on a separate keychain. Okay, so I grab the key, I go to my gun safe. Now, mind you, this burglar hears all this movement in my room. They hear all this movement, so they're going to come straight back into my bedroom with their own weapon drawn, right? I get to my gun safe, I unlock it, and before I can even turn around and face my attacker, he's shot me in the back. And I'm either dead or I'm so injured that I now cannot go and protect my children who are sleeping one bedroom over from me. My 2 little toddler daughters. So now what does that mean? What does that mean? My kids grow up without a mom? Or they grow up with trauma that now... Now here's a kicker for you. I don't know if you've all thought of this. But now they grow up with trauma that preempts them from owning a gun. And that experience of someone breaking into my house and shooting me is a traumatic experience. And the law does state they will look into traumatic experiences. They'll be able to look into your life and see if you've ever reported a traumatic experience. That traumatic experience leads to PTSD, which in the eyes of the law is a trauma-based disorder leading to instability and dissociations and among other things, right? So now, because someone else broke into my house and decided to shoot me because I couldn't get to my own gun in time, I've now lost my gun rights again. How many of these scenarios? There's so many scenarios that this applies to. But hi guys. Go ahead and share this video. I'm going to be posting it on YouTube. We are also hashtag Silent No More Repeal 1639 is the name of the Facebook group. And that group has gotten very big. I wasn't expecting that response. Thank you guys so much for standing up and using your voice and fighting for our rights. You know, that's pretty awesome. Basically, if you're just joining us, I just gave a basic rundown of a few example scenarios involving the violation of privacy using the medical records, and how the words traumatic experience in the section regarding what disqualifies you from being able to own a firearm. I was going over how those scenarios could potentially play out. Also, how the scenario of someone breaking into your home and, say you have a small handgun, little safe, they take the whole safe, break it open later, and now you get charged with a Class C felony because the government has all of your information, your address, your phone number, what the gun is, the gun serial number. Oh, so they find this gun. Oh, boom, you're charged with a felony, improper storage of a firearm, because it doesn't make any allowances for investigating to see if the firearm was properly stored. So that's what I just went over. Here in just a moment, I'll be going over two of our amendments. That would be the First Amendment, the right to freedom of speech, press, religion, and peaceful assembly, which we will be exercising this weekend. I'm so excited for our event. I can't wait. To protest the stripping of our Second Amendment right, which is the right to bear arms. So what I have done is over here up, I keep looking up, I've got a TV screen that's hooked up to my PlayStation. I have the amendments to the Constitution up there. I'm going to be reading the text from them for those that might not know what they say. Might not have read the full text of the amendments. The amendments are extremely short, and they're very basic, and they're very straightforward, and there's pretty much no room for translation or for bending or stretching the way that our state legislature seems to like to do. So if you give me just one moment, I'm going to go through here. The amendment number 1, all right? This is the one that covers the right to free speech and assembly. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. 1639. I don't know about y'all, but I feel that that's a pretty big grievance, and I've got a major beef to pick. That's why I created this group, because I knew I wasn't alone. I knew there was more of you out there. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us. I just want to say, make sure you share this post. Share the page. There's a lot of like-minded individuals, and come January, when the Democrats, they like the gun laws. Not all Democrats are that way. I don't mean any offense to any Democrats that are behind us. But the Democrats have taken back over the House, as it were. And some of those congressmen have already decided that they're going to actively and aggressively pursue stricter gun laws across the nation. I was reading an article the other day that said that they will pursue the strictest gun laws in decades. In decades. Okay? I'm 38 years old. I've only been alive for 3 decades, almost 4. Okay? And I don't remember a time when there was stricter gun laws than now. So, John, Article 1, Section 24 in our state constitution. Yes, I'll be discussing that. Right now, I'm going over the amendments. Please forgive me for the rabbit trails. I do have ADHD, so I get distracted a little bit. Hi! So, Amendment 1. The peaceable assembly. and petition the government for regressive grievances. All right, so that's pretty much that. Thank you, John. So amendment number 2. We're going to read amendment number 2 of the United States Constitution, and then I will be reading from the Washington State Constitution about what exactly are laws in Washington State, because you guys know, each state has the right to make their own laws as long as they aren't in direct violation of federal law. Hello, Rick. The NRA, I actually just saw a video of a public service announcement on the NRA's page. I'm not a member, so I can't access their full page. But I did see a video earlier in my sponsored or suggested feed that indicated that they were announcing that they would be fighting gun control, that they would be fighting it, and that it is unacceptable. I don't know if that means specifically here in Washington State or nationally. If any of you are a member of the NRA, go ahead and go to their page and check that out, because I don't know for sure. I have been told by a friend of mine that the NRA has been contacted regarding this issue. I'm sure many people have contacted them. As far as the other legal organizations, I haven't heard of any major organizations challenging this, which is why I'm really wanting our events to get out there, and I'm really wanting to get them going, because, you know, these protests start popping up all over the state. Someone is going to have to take notice. The big wigs, the big organizations like the NRA, ACLU, they're a little bit more the other side. But organizations like those will have to take notice. So back to the Second Amendment and exactly what it says on our United States Constitution. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It's very clear. It's very concise. It's very simple. Government does not get to take away our right to bear arms. We have a right to have our firearms. We have a right to possess them. And in our own homes, we also have the right to make the choice of how to store them, whether or not to keep them loaded, whether or not to use them to protect our home and our family. All right? This law, this 1639, takes that away. Completely takes that away. Owning a firearm under this new law is no longer a right, but a privilege. The law used to be, previously it was you had to apply to conceal carry, and you had to pass a very extensive background check. You had to go to all of these classes, and you had to take the safety training, and you had to get certified, right? Okay, so that's for concealed carry. Now, you have to do all of that as well as register. You didn't used to have to register your gun to open carry. And I know this because 4 months ago, I contacted the police department with just that question. And they said, no, there is no law that states you have to register your firearm. It is strongly recommended. That way, if it gets stolen, you can report it stolen, and you won't be charged with a crime that's committed with it. That was from Kennewick Police Department. However, now, what you have to do, hi, Dad, What you have to do is you have to do all of that to simply own a firearm. And the wording of the law, it's not just assault rifles, and we'll get into that in a little bit. It's not just assault rifles. They refer to pistols and firearms in quotations throughout this entire law. Assault rifles are only mentioned in the first new section of the law. The rest of it, I'm not sure what that was. Sorry, guys. The rest of it is pistol or firearm, indicating all guns, not just modified guns, not just assault rifles. As an example, in this law, and don't take my word for it, I posted the full text, the PDF for the full text of the new law on hashtag Silent No More's Facebook page. Go on that page. It's a public page. You don't even have to join to see the postings. Go on that page, check it out, read the law for yourselves. Don't take my word for it. Educate yourselves. Educate yourselves and make an informed and educated decision about where you're going to stand on this issue. With this law, we have no boundaries anymore. Them being able to come into our home and take our gun if we get diagnosed with depression, that's another invasion of privacy. Which brings us to another amendment. The amendment outlining illegal search and seizure. Okay? Them coming to take our guns. So here's the scenario for this one. Amendment number 2, I just read, shall not be infringed. We have the right. They've now made it a privilege. All right? So I'm looking. Aha, here it is. Amendment number 4. The 4th Amendment. The wording is, the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. This law overturns the 4th Amendment also, because now they can send the sheriff to our house. They can send KPD to our house. If it's found that we are diagnosed with depression or some other mental health issue that we didn't previously have, they now know we have guns in our house. They don't need a warrant. It is ordered that the sheriff or the local police department will go and confiscate the firearms at the location of the person who is no longer eligible. We don't have a choice anymore. We don't have the right to the protection under the 4th Amendment either. That's just one of many violations in this law. So far we have the 2nd Amendment has been violated and the 4th Amendment has been violated by this law. Now, I've been on here for quite a little while, but I'm going to keep going. I'd like to welcome you if you're just joining us. Hi. For a moment, I'm going to get away from the amendments. John, I will be reading from the Washington State Constitution in just a moment. But I'd like to welcome you all to the group. Share this video, please. Sorry, I've never done a Facebook Live or any live video where you could see my face. Mostly I'm just streaming my video game videos. So this is new to me. Forgive the uhs and the ums. So for right now, hashtag Silent No More, repeal 1639. I'm not a political person. I am not a person that is loud or boisterous. But right now, over 1639, this has to change. I'm one person. I started this page with the hopes that I would get a few people involved and that maybe eventually we could overturn it. But the response has been so overwhelming that I'm absolutely shocked, honestly, about how many people are willing to step up and speak out. So thank you all very much for joining in this cause and for being willing to use your voices. On the Facebook page, there's a post for a PDF file with the full text of 1639, the new gun control law that just passed. This is for those of you just joining us. I'm recapping. And this law, I would encourage you, I'm not going to go back over the text, but I would encourage you to go to our page. Our page is public, so you can see the post. You don't have to join, but go to the page, educate yourselves, and seriously please consider, someone had to, John. Seriously, please consider using your voice. Get out there. After we have a few protest events, the first of which is this weekend, we will be protesting here in Kennewick and possibly Richland for sure. I haven't heard from anybody on the western side. They all want an event over there, but I haven't heard from anybody about starting one yet. I'm hoping that gets started so we can have protests all across the state this weekend. So the first step in this process is protesting, gaining public support, increasing public awareness of just what exactly this law does to people, does to law-abiding citizens. A lot of people are saying it criminalizes gun ownership, and it does. It criminalizes gun ownership. It criminalizes mental health. People who suffer from these disorders, they risk, if they go in for help, get on some medication for depression. You're having a hard time. Your life is rough. I don't know anybody that hasn't suffered from depression at some point in their life. Your life is rough at the moment. You go in for some help. Guess what? That now goes into a registry that the government has access to, and you just lost your gun rights for going in and seeking help for mental health disorder. That has the exact opposite effect. Because if people are not looking for help with their mental health issues, as for something as simple as depression, all the way up to more complex disorders like bipolar disorder or mood disorder or extreme panic disorder or PTSD. If people aren't going in for help because they're afraid they're going to lose their gun rights, then those people aren't getting the therapy or the medications or the support that they need, the treatment that they need. Not everybody needs medication for those. Some of those are cared for with really intensive therapies. But if they're not going to seek them out because they don't want to lose their gun rights, then where does that leave them? It has the exact opposite effect that the gun control enthusiasts wanted. It means that there's going to be a lot of people with mental health issues that are not treated and are walking that fine line between stability and instability. Doesn't that seem like it poses more of a risk to the public than guns? Harmony, I'm not sure where you got that information. If it's written in the text of the law and I didn't see it, I'll have to review that. She says that it's not something that they can use. You have to have been declared legally incompetent or involuntarily committed to lose your gun rights. The wording of 1639 is extremely vague on that. It does not say what you have. And see, that's kind of where previous laws may have been more specific, but 1639 overturns many of those previous laws. I forgot ADHD. I forgot what I was saying. But anyways, sometimes with some of those disorders, they can spiral without treatment. So maybe it's not a gun control issue. Maybe it's a healthcare issue. And that's a whole different ballgame. So I'm not going to go into that. But that's just one of my thoughts. So I'm kind of ranting now. This wasn't meant to be a rant video. So we're going to get back to the actual Constitution. So I'm going to go back up. And we're going to look at Section 24 of the Washington State Constitution. All right. So we've reviewed a couple of places where 1639 violates the United States Constitution in the Second and Fourth Amendments. In Washington State, it says in Section 24, the right to bear arms, the right of the individual citizen to bear arms in defense of himself or the state shall not be impaired. But nothing in this section shall be construed as authorizing individuals or corporations to organize, maintain, or employ an armed body of men. So the second part of that is pretty self-explanatory. The first part of it is short, simple, to the point. The right of the individual citizen to bear arms in defense of himself or the state shall not be impaired. Impaired, like requiring all sorts of hoops, mental health background checks, paying all sorts of fees and registrations, and all of those things that turn owning a gun into a privilege and no longer a right. See, under 1639, there's text in there that it doesn't state it explicitly, but the implication is that now they get to pick and choose who is eligible. They use that word eligible quite a bit in that law. Who is eligible to own a firearm? Who's eligible to own a firearm? Until 1639, everybody was, with the exception of felons. Now, no. You have to take all of these classes. When I was looking into getting my concealed carry permit a few months back, I looked into all of those classes. Those classes are expensive, extremely expensive. So you want to buy a pistol, you're going to go buy a $200-300 gun, or you're going to go buy a rifle for your 12-year-old son who wants to go hunting with his dad. Guess what? You now have to take all of those classes, the same classes that were required for concealed carry. You have to take all of those classes before the pistol is issued to you. And that's actually specific language out of that law. Before the dealer can issue the pistol, it states the pistol, the purchaser must provide a concealed carry license. So you have to be able to concealed carry to even have a gun now. It's kind of what that sounds like to me. I don't know about you guys. Read the text. So we're going to go, that to me is impairing the right of the individual citizens to bear arms. It impairs it. So what, people who can't afford to take the $500, $600, $700 classes aren't allowed to have a gun? People who can't afford to pay the registration fees can't have a gun? Or even better yet, a little boy, a little 12, 13-year-old boy can no longer go hunting with his dad. So now it stretches even further into impacting the family. That's 1639. Violating our right to privacy, violating our Second Amendment, violating our Fourth Amendment. And then violating our rights to, taking away recreational activities with our young men. Recreational activities that can teach them life survival skills. Life survival skills. Teaching a young man how to hunt. Say he loses his job when he's an adult and he's got to go feed his family. Well, can't go hunting because I never learned, because my daddy couldn't afford to go through the classes to buy me a training rifle. So there's all of those. And then there's the reclassification of what constitutes an assault rifle. That definition in the text is very, very, very short, sweet, and to the point. Not sweet. It's actually quite unsweet. The new definition of an assault rifle is any weapon, not including a shotgun or a bolt action, that is not a handgun. So those .22 caliber hunting rifles that are bought for young men who go out hunting with their dad, they're an assault rifle. They're an assault weapon now, not a hunting weapon. Right? Another issue is 1639. The age change for purchasing a firearm. I'm a little bit torn on this part of it. And the reason that I'm torn on this part is because, I don't necessarily agree with sending 18-year-old children off overseas to fight in wars anyway. But the connotation of the age change is that now you have to be 21 years old to purchase a firearm. Yet you only have to be 18 to enlist and take a fully automatic assault weapon issued by the military overseas and kill people with it. So at 18, you're mature enough to go overseas and take someone's life with a weapon that normal citizens are not allowed to have. But when you come back from your tour of duty, as long as you don't have PTSD from your time at war, once you have to wait now until you're 21 years old to purchase a handgun for home defense. You're mature enough to handle, I'm going to repeat that just to let it sink in. You're mature enough to handle a military-issued assault weapon overseas in a war and take someone's life at the age of 18. But you're not mature enough to come home to the very country which you just fought to defend the people's rights of and have the right to purchase a handgun to protect your own home and your own person. Think about that for a minute. I have a son who's 18. I don't want him going to fight a war. I don't want him going off and having to kill other 18-year-olds across the ocean for my right. One of the rights they fight for, the right to bear arms, the right to our freedom. He's going to go over there and kill someone for my right to bear arms, but he's going to not be allowed to come back and bear arms himself until he turns 21. He's going to risk his life to fight for that right. And in 2 years, he's going to come back. He's going to be 20 years old. But he can't have a gun for another year. He can't buy a handgun. But he can go die for his country. That's not right. That has to change. That has to change. I don't know. I don't know how to change that one, but I do know that 1639 needs to be stopped. It has to be stopped. It cannot stand. And I'm going to be silent no more. Hence the name of the page, Silent No More. Never taken a political stand like this before. I'm new to it. So, knowing that I'm new to all this, if y'all can just bear with me, the page is only 4 days old, and it's already over 600 members and growing very quickly. But that's the basic lowdown of what 1639 does. Go in, read the text of the law, research it, read the text of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, read the Washington State Constitution, educate yourselves, and then make a decision. Are you going to come out and make a stand? Or are you going to stand for gun control? Me, I will never stand for gun control. Ever. I have the right to own a weapon. I have the right to defend myself. Oh, wow, there's a lot of comments that I wasn't looking at. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, Harmony, no, it wouldn't take much to have someone declared mentally incompetent. That was kind of my whole point, is that mental incompetence does not mean that you are incapable of regular activities. It means that it leaves it open for them to look and say, someone who is not a medical professional, by the way, someone who is a politician or an authority, not a medical professional, to go in and say, oh, well, she has ADHD and she's had postpartum depression. Oh, she's medicated. Oh, she takes a stimulant medication for her ADHD. Stimulants are known to make people prone to irritability and aggression. We don't want her having a gun. That's what it gives them the ability to do, because of how vague it is. It's not very specific. There are no provisions or clauses in there. It's basically at the discretion of whoever happens to review the application. I'm reading comments here. It wasn't just semi-automatic assault rifles. It was any firearm. The age to purchase any firearm has now been raised to 21. And yes, some people may wish to take that step, but, and that's their right. That is their right. However, the vagueness of the law and all of these other issues with 1639, parts of it maybe can be worked out. Yes, 21, their brain isn't fully mature. You're absolutely right, Harmony. However, if their brain isn't fully mature until the age of 21 to purchase alcohol, to purchase a firearm, then why is it considered mature enough to send them overseas to die and kill in the name of the United States? Why are they mature enough to enter into that type of a contract? That's a question, that I can't reconcile myself to. Why are they mature enough at the age of 18 to buy cigarettes? I'm not slamming smokers. I don't like cigarettes. I'm a smoker, and I don't like cigarettes. I started smoking when I was 11 years old and haven't been able to stop. But these 18-year-old kids are being sent to fight in wars, drop bombs, blow people up, fly jets, yet they can't own a firearm. So I don't know. Maybe the age of enlistment needs to be changed. I honestly don't know. That's something that might be addressed at a later time. Oh, oh, I see. You're copying and pasting text from the bill. Got it. I thought you were commenting, representing yourself. I'm sorry, Harmony. um, anyways, that's pretty much the long and short of it. Our first event, our first protest is going to be next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We will be either at Columbia Center Boulevard or on George Washington Way, or both, hopefully. And hopefully we will have some other events going on that weekend around the state as well. John, maybe the voting age should go back to 21 also. Agreed. I thought that for a long time. You know, you're not mature enough to have a beer or drink a glass of wine until you're 21. Why are you considered mature enough to die for our country and go and change the course of our country's future at the age of 18? Anyways, guys, that's pretty much the point of my video. Make sure you share it. The idea is to garner attention and public support for our cause. So share the page, share the posts, share this video. I'm going to be doing lots more Facebook Live videos. I'm hoping that our protest, I'll be able to do a Facebook Live of at least part of our protest. And I'm really hoping that members from the western side of the state, King County, Snohomish County, Seattle, Tacoma, Olympia, Pierce County, I'm really hoping that we can pull together events for them to coordinate with this weekend, and we can all spam the internet with all of our live stream videos. Also, one of our members commented earlier, actually, I think it was yesterday, and I didn't even see it until just a couple hours ago, about contacting the media outlets. Well, I had already been, it was actually before, I think it was back when we only had about 50 members, back on Wednesday evening. I reached out and I contacted Keeper, and they've taken an interest, and I haven't heard about whether or not they're going to be covering us or not, but they might. Anyways, that's pretty much it for tonight, guys. If you guys like this video, let me know, and maybe I'll do another one tomorrow. If you have questions that you need clarified, let me know, and I'll research it, and I can do another video that way. But this movement remember, this movement starts here, but doesn't stay just Washington State. It's going to spread across the country. We're going to take this all the way to the United States Federal Supreme Court, if we have to get this overturned. All right? You guys have a good night, and thanks for watching.